The British have an opt-out from that. The Poles have an opt-out from that. The Slovaks have asked for one, and Václav Klaus is about to get one at the summit this Thursday, all right? But in effect, we know, in effect, we always know that opt-outs are nothing more, really, under European law than sort of time-delayed derogations. And in the end, there's going to be a battle of wills. You know, forget the Brits for a moment. Think about the French and the Germans. A battle of wills between the ECHR in Strasbourg and the ECJ in Luxembourg. And I think all of us that have watched this process over years know which one's actually going to win. The Charter of Fundamental Rights sums up human rights to me, because it all looks absolutely terrific. You know, it gives us the right to life. Well, that's nice of them, isn't it? The right to marry. Well, it works out for some people, not always me, but there we are. And all of these things. And then Article 52 says that in time of emergency, all of these rights can be abolished. So it's not worth the paper it's written on.
It's quite an extreme.
Well, you read it. Well, you read it.
It's only in extreme circumstances.
Well, hang on, son. Hang on. Who defines what's extreme? Who defines what those circumstances are? That's the point about this, isn't it? That's the point about this, is that you give over to the organs of the European Union the ability themselves to decide what the circumstances are in which, you know, the state of emergency can be declared and all those rights can go. I would argue that I would prefer, we as a party would prefer, and think it generally better, to live with a system of freedoms as opposed to rights, i.e., that every man or woman is born free, that everything is legal, unless there is a law that prohibits a certain action, as opposed to the opposite of that, which is the Human Rights Code, which means that actually you are only allowed to do those things that the state allows you to do through the rights that they give you. It's a big battle of rights versus freedoms, and I generally think, I believe, that our liberty, freedom-based system, our common law system, our judicial system that backs all of that up, you know, the presumption of innocence before guilt, habeas corpus, all of those things, I think those things are an infinitely better safeguard of our liberties and freedoms than any human rights, government-decreed system. And I hold very strongly to that view. I don't believe human rights have made the world a better place. So.
With regard to lobby of the booklet, on the tax page you say you want to make tax simpler, and then on the picture with the road you talk about reducing a Britdisc thing. How are you going to actually go around imposing this Britdisc tax, and surely is it not going to get passed on to consumers?
Well, there are two separate things there. So quickly on the Britdisc thing, there is no doubt about it that our road haulage industry has suffered at every single level. We've got this sort of terrible discrimination against our own people here on the grounds of... the last time the police did a spot check on the Kent motorways, over 50% of the lorries from Eastern Europe were seriously breaching safety regulations, buying cheaper fuel. So we're talking about just redressing the balance on that. But the bigger picture, as far as tax is concerned, look, nobody has... I talked about the old Labour government last time round, 83% income tax for the high paid. What Brown has done is to so massively complicate the tax system. God knows, tax credits, the employees don't understand them, the employers don't understand them, and none of it's working. And what we're arguing is that where the flat tax system was introduced in the Baltic states and other countries like that, it worked remarkably well, it incentivised people, but above all, the one thing that I've spoken about in the past, and I want us to campaign on very seriously, I talked earlier about the welfare state and about it being a lifestyle choice. But it's actually not a lifestyle choice for everybody. I've got a cousin, she's 30, husband's buggered off, left her with massive gambling debts, the house has been repossessed, she's now been put in council accommodation, she's got 2 young kids, she's in a hell of a state. Lives in Hampshire, she applies to the Inland Revenue, who've got a big office there, she gets a good job, because she's well qualified, and it's quite a well-paid job, but actually, because of all her benefits, and because she'll start paying tax from a very low level, she's better off, far better off, and will have time for her children in not taking that job and staying on benefit. A glass ceiling has been put on her and her aspirations. That is wrong. It's absolutely wrong. And I believe, and this will be in the UKIP manifesto, that nobody should be taxed if they earn less than the minimum wage at a 40-hour working week, which is about £11,500 a year. Let's lift the threshold at which people start paying tax, and let's incentivise people to get off state benefit and get back to work, all right? So, you know, all these different bans, all these tax credits, all these paybacks, it's not working. There's a huge bureaucracy. We could sack tens of thousands of civil servants involved on taxation by simplifying the whole thing. I honestly believe it would work.
To find out more about who we are and what we stand for, go to the UK Independence Party website at www.ukip.org.